Hello again, everyone, and thanks for joining us for this Monday's edition of Alaska Weather on the 18th day of January 2021. I'm Dave Percy, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service, and I'll be hosting today's show. Up first, first graphic we have is peak wind gusts. Kind of a short list here I threw together. Arctic Valley was the highest wind gust I could find of 83 miles per hour, and they're kind of have an advantage over some of these other locations, being that they're about 3,600 feet in elevation there in the mountains there east of Anchorage. Otherwise, Middleton Island, not too far behind, peak wind gusts 78 miles per hour. Cape St. Elias had 73 miles per hour, and we're still gusting upwards of 72 miles per hour here just in the last hour. And Passage Canal, 65 mile an hour wind gusts, as well as central Prince William Sound. And high wind warning is out for the North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound, Eastern Turnagain Arm until, 6 p.m. this evening. So going to the hazardous weather graphics here, we've got all of Bristol Bay there illuminated, but that's a winter weather advisory that only affects the area south of King Salmon, and that ends at 6 p.m. this evening as well. For snow and blowing snow. That's already improving and will continue to improve, but out for a couple more hours. And then winter weather advisory also for the eastern Alaska range for 3 to 5 inches of snow. That's out, for the area for tomorrow into tomorrow night until 6 a.m. on Tuesday. That's for the eastern Alaska range winter weather advisory. Looking for 3 to 5 inches of snow with winds gusting to 35 to 40 miles an hour. So call it 35 to 45 miles an hour. Through the passes there with the higher gusts. And of course that'll create blowing snow with the new snow that does fall, reducing visibilities. Otherwise, winter storm warning remains out for the Copper River Basin, and that's for the areas south and west of Glen Allen, Gulkana, for 5 to 10 more inches of snow. That's out until 9 p.m. this evening, and 5 to 10 more inches of snow possible there along the Glen Highway. And even snowfall totals or storm totals anywhere from 12 to 20 inches in other areas, especially the mountainous terrain as it usually is, with lighter amounts though off to the east. And again, the high wind warning out until 6 p.m. this evening for the North Gulf Coast, Eastern Kenai Peninsula there, Prince William Sound. And also a high wind warning remains out there for the greater Juneau area and also the central coast of the Panhandle. That's out until 9 p.m. this evening, and winds will be trending down after that. But until that time, expect wind gusts above 60 miles an hour from the south to southeast, swinging more around to the southwest as the front pushes through and the winds will diminish. Otherwise, moving on to satellite image, you can see a big storm quite vividly wrapping up there as it moves just east of Kodiak Island up toward the Kenai Peninsula this afternoon, and the front pushing wind, rain into the Panhandle and head North Gulf Coast and pushing inland there with the upper level boundary there reaching the Alaska range. The main front still to the south a little bit, and you can see the Alaska range starting to put some holes into the cloud features there, and good southerly flow bringing temperatures up and in some areas into the 40s with a mixture of precipitation. And northwest winds still pretty brisk, anywhere from 40 to 50 miles an hour out of the northwest, keeping it cold with snow and blowing snow along the southwest coast into the Alaska Peninsula, but improving there over the eastern Aleutians. Looks like some pretty good clearing occurred over Unalaska Island this afternoon. Ahead of that next system that's kind of weakening, not all that impressive, especially compared to the one in the Gulf there, but that's pushing some snow eastward with numerous snow showers behind the front there from Adak out to Shemya today, and some milder conditions picking the wind southeast there for the eastern Aleutians will begin to increase, and that'll tend to possibly mix the snow with rain. Otherwise, cold air still locked in over the northern Bering Sea, at least for a little while, maybe another day or so longer, and we can't see as the next storm that's due to roll into the southeast Bering Sea Tuesday night and Wednesday, but that's getting out ahead. So let's first start off with the today's surface analysis, where that's 969 millibar low moving up to the southern Kenai Peninsula there, tracking north just east of Kodiak Island, and the very tight gradient east of the low there, and especially along in advance of the front, kind of a combination along with the low center and the front. Hurricane force wind warnings were out along the North Gulf Coast today. Those are already starting to come down again with the peak wind gusts we saw near 80 miles an hour for Middleton Island and 75 miles an hour for Cape St. Elias, and 60, 70 miles an hour in Prince William Sound for the wind speeds, with rainfall amounts about 1.5 inches over the Kenai Peninsula. That's 12-hour rainfall amounts ending at 3 p.m. this afternoon. Kenai Lake, 1.5 inches of rain. Some of that fell as snow. Temperatures in the mid to upper 30s today, and Seward picked up 1.5 inches of rain again in a 12-hour period. Seldovia, 1.25 inches of rain, with winds gusting 40 to 50 miles an hour there. Otherwise, in the Copper River Basin, Chitina had about 1/4 inch water equivalent of precipitation, with temperatures rising from 23 degrees at midnight last night to 36 at noon today. So southeast winds responsible for that, gusting 30 to 40 miles an hour. And so it started out as snow but changed over to rain and wind over the Panhandle on the increase, but quite a heaviest rain on the northern Panhandle there. Haines picking up about 1/2 inch of precipitation, south gusts 45 miles an hour accompanying that. Down to the south, hadn't really reached Petersburg. Metlakatla, just 0.02 of an inch of precipitation with lighter winds, but that'll increase here by the hour. And that weakening front pushing some moisture into mainly Unmak Island from Adak and Atka in the form of rain or snow, and that'll really wash out. Didn't even just troughed in the old frontal boundary there. 983 millibar low there northwest of the Pribilofs. Weak trough now, maybe some light precipitation of a mixed variety for the eastern Aleutians to the western Alaska Peninsula. Snow will, excuse me, snow for the Pribilofs, slow to change. Don't look for heavy amounts, but kind of a steady light snow condition will trend toward a little bit wetter snow, if not mixed with rain, with milder southeast winds. And then back to the snow for the western Aleutians and gusty winds with that main low center back to the west. Otherwise, regional low center there moves northward and slowly weakens as it tracks north across the Kenai Peninsula. That should possibly bring another round of snow back into south central Alaska tonight as the surface low and upper trough both lift north and a little bit to the northeast. Otherwise, conditions improve quite a bit for the North Gulf Coast, but precipitation and breezy winds won't end for the Panhandle as surges of moisture will continue to roll in off the Gulf of Alaska. Look for a swath of snow over the central interior tonight. And then for tomorrow, that area kind of lifts north to the northern Kobuk-Koyukuk Valley, Brooks Range, into the North Slope, Arctic coast, but just snow showers up in that area with nothing heavy. Drying out over the central and southern interior, just some lingering rain and snow showers south central Alaska. And again, breezy and occasionally wet there for the Panhandle, but not like it was this afternoon and tonight. Next system bringing wind and rain back into Kodiak Island with a mixture of precipitation, again, the Alaska Peninsula. And right south of the Amchitka Island area, you can see the next storm system, which on Tuesday night will bring gale and storm force winds into the central Aleutians and eventually the Fox Islands, and that will lift into the southeast Bering Sea. A little center just west of the Pribilof Islands by the afternoon, deepening to 968 millibars. Look for blowing snow to move into the Pribilof, snow and blowing snow, and storm force winds possibly. Definitely high-end gale force winds, if not storm. And snow and blowing snow increases along the southwest coast, mostly from Cape Newenham up to the Yukon Delta coastline in the afternoon. And that'll continue to push northeastward Wednesday night and Thursday. Otherwise, a break for Kodiak Island, Cook Inlet, still some scattered rain and snow showers, weak trough North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound from the Talkeetnas right on down the Panhandle, and a weak trough with some light snow and snow showers over the northwest and western interior. Lows for tonight, upper 30s, lower 40s for the Panhandle, and back into the 20s, south central Alaska, Kodiak Island, mid-20s. And either side of zero up over the central and northern interior, mostly below zero, 5 to 10 below for the North Slope and Arctic coast, and 8 below for St. Lawrence Island. And along the Yukon River, below zero, 5 below for the most part, lower 20s the Pribilofs, and the 20s for the Aleutians. Highs for tomorrow, looking 40s, upper 30s to lower 40s across southern Alaska, and up north, teens central interior, either side of zero for the Arctic coast, and lower to mid 30s out over the Aleutians, southern Bering Sea, lower 40s Alaska Peninsula. Low temperatures for Wednesday morning. Still mild for the Panhandle, mostly above freezing. Lower 30s north to mid to upper 30s south, and 20s, Kenai Peninsula, teens for the Copper River Basin. And north of the Alaska Range, back below zero, but not too far below, and out southwest in the 20s and 30s, highs 40s for the southeast coast. Wednesday.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
First line weather graphic here for Tuesday morning. Lots of IFR up over the North Slope, Arctic coast, and then south of the Brooks Range, especially the Kobuk Valley eastward, across the northern and central Koyukuk Valley, upper Yukon River, and the Yukon Flats, on down toward Eagle, VFR. And narrow band of VFR extends across the southern Seward Peninsula to St. Lawrence Island, the Bering Strait, the swath of IFR, St. Matthew Island, St. Paul, St. George, and the Alaska Peninsula. And then VFR breaking out over the central Aleutians, otherwise marginal for the remainder of the Bering Sea. Some IFR up over the central interior and along the central Alaska Range, and IFR holding, at least early on, for the Matanuska Valley and roughly Kinnick Arm, Turnagain Arm eastward, all the way into the northern Panhandle, then down over toward the border on the east side. Marginal VFR, maybe some VFR breaks for the coastline there. And in the afternoon, IFR kind of lingering there over the east side of the Panhandle, as well as the eastern Copper River Basin into the North Gulf Coast Range. And Kodiak Island, IFR, southern Shelikof Strait, and the Alaska Peninsula, mostly on the Pacific side, IFR, Dillingham across Togiak Bay, Cape Newenham, right up to Nunivak Island to St. Matthew Island. And then VFR for the eastern Aleutians to just south of the Pribilofs. Some IFR creeping up on Adak in the afternoon. Widespread IFR up over the central and northern interior, right out to the Arctic coast. And for Wednesday morning, that area subsides a little bit, holds IFR there for the western, central, and eastern Arctic coast from Point Lay eastward, and eastern North Slope, and the south side of the Brooks Range there looks IFR into the northern Kobuk-Koyukuk Valley, the Yukon Flats, Porcupine River. Some VFR over the Tanana Valley, northwest and north of the Alaska Range. But IFR on the southern slopes, on down the eastern slopes of the western Alaska Range, right into Kamishak Bay, Iliamna area, and the northern Aleutian Range. North Gulf Coast, eastern Kenai Peninsula, Prince William Sound, IFR, northern Panhandle, IFR. And for, VFR for Bristol Bay and most of the Alaska Peninsula. And then for Wednesday afternoon, that area kind of closes off, but still not too bad there for Bristol Bay, with marginal VFR to some lingering VFR. VFR central interior, most of the Kuskokwim Valley to eastern Norton Sound. IFR northern Panhandle and the eastern over toward the border on down towards Stewart. Marginal VFR, some scattered IFR and scattered VFR for south central Alaska and the Copper River Basin. Kodiak Island, marginal VFR, but looks like a VFR there for the Barren Island areas, and into southern Cook Inlet and the west central interior. Band of IFR central eastern Arctic coast, and also up along the Brooks Range, and IFR along and south of the Alaska Peninsula and on Alaska Island, with some VFR breaks out over the central, maybe western Aleutians, but a big chunk of IFR for the northern Bering Sea into the southwest coast, including the Pribilof Islands. And a Tuvik IFR tomorrow, same forecast for Radigan, mostly IFR. Lake Clark and Merrill look for some improving. Marginal becomes VFR. And Portage, IFR becomes VFR. For windy, VFR flying. And I know Rainy was just like Lake Clark and Merrill, starting out marginal becoming VFR. Isabel, marginal. Mentasta, marginal VFR. Southside, though, IFR. Tanita, IFR becoming VFR. And Portage as well, IFR to VFR. Chilkoot and White, IFR. Freezing levels shifting off to the east now, that warmer push northward there as the front pushes eastward. 2,000 feet now just over the extreme southeastern part of the southeast coast. Otherwise, surface hugging the eastern North Gulf Coast, Kodiak Island, and across just south of the Pribilof Islands, but back north of the Aleutians. And for tomorrow, icing. One batch of moisture moves into the Bristol Bay Area, Alaska Peninsula, and surges of moisture continue to produce elevated chances of light, isolated, moderate icing, mixed icing there from Prince William Sound and the southeast coast and up over the northern interior. And the next system bringing more icing, but not too bad for the western to the central Aleutians. Jet stream dropping back south of the area, south of the Queen Charlotte's tomorrow, 105 to 125 knots, but bulging up toward the central Aleutians, 110 knots. 9,000 feet west-northwest, 50 to 55 knots off the southeast coast, and 65 knots very close to Kodiak Island, 3,000 feet due to that system there. But staying south of the area, and as far as turbulence goes, some areas of light to isolated moderate chop southeast coast, and areas of moderate chop there for Bristol Bay and the Alaska Peninsula, but not too bad elsewhere around the state.
So my heart is definitely racing. I don't know about anyone else's. This is the stuff nerds dream of.
10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6,
It's gonna
5,
happen.
4, 3, 2.
That countdown you just heard? We'll get back to that in a minute. Last episode, we saw the epic launch of ICESat-2, NASA's newest state-of-the-art ice-observing satellite. But now that that's in orbit, the pressure to deliver results is on.
Between launch and, the first ground returns, took 17, 18 days or something like this. It's a time when you're quite nervous.
9 years ago, Dr. Torsten Marcus took over as the lead project scientist for ICESat-2 during a time when the mission needed a champion.
You start fighting for a mission over, for 9 years now.
So when ICESat-2 was turned on for the first time 18 days after it was launched, only then would the science team know if the whole thing had worked. And it did.
First of all, it's kind of emotional, right? Being here, ICESat-2 was developing for 9-10 years. Rocket scientists, you live the mission, right?
If it sounds like there's a lot of noise in the background, that's because Torsten is being interviewed from a plane 1,500 feet in the air. IceBridge was tasked with the job of bridging the data between the end of ICESat's mission and the beginning of ICESat-2, about a 9-year difference.
The goal is that it would run until ICESat-2 launched and then would have overlap with ICESat-2 as well, so we can get a really long, well-calibrated time series from IceBridge.
As the deputy project scientist for Operation IceBridge, Brooke works closely with Torsten to make sure the two missions are syncing up.
The timing was everything during that mission, which was a real challenge because not only do we need to...
Basically what you need to take away is getting an airplane and a satellite in space to fly over the same flight path at the same time and collect matching data is really, really hard. IceBridge was tasked with two objectives. Check the accuracy of ICESat-2's data over land ice and over sea ice. They were able to lock in the land ice data fairly quickly in the mission, but the sea ice data...
It was really tricky. We waited day after day. Do we fly the sea ice? It's still on our list.
7, 6,
It's gonna
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mark on the overpass 0435, 35 Zulu.
Here's what just happened. A plane 1,500 feet up and a satellite 308 miles up measured the same sea ice at the same time. This moment finally linked veteran mission Operation IceBridge's data to that of its new sister mission, ICESat-2. Two projects that, until now, were separate for nearly 10 years.
It's a very satisfying feeling because you do something that is meaningful and in the bigger picture. And yeah, it's very satisfying.
Our search for knowledge doesn't end here. Grace Follow-On and ICESat-2, the two satellite missions that launched this year, will continue to bring in incredible data for the foreseeable future. The steady drumbeat of campaigns in the field goes on, but most of all, the people who look for answers will never stop searching. And from our perspective, it's pretty clear why. What is your favorite planet in the solar system?
My favorite planet is the planet Earth.
What? Earth? Really?
The Earth, obviously.
Favorite planet in the solar system? Earth, right? We live on it. It's a really important one.
Favorite planet is Earth.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Why?
when you look out at the other planets, they're absolutely fascinating. They've got all sorts of interesting systems going on. They've got dust storms. But then when you're on another planet, looking back at Earth, I mean, it's just incredible.
Whenever you go in different places, it looks so different, so amazing. It's just, I love planet Earth. It's just a very special planet. This is our home.
We've seen things far beyond the solar system. But even with all that, even the amazing things we've seen, one of the most amazing is the Earth itself.
It's got to be Earth. It's got to be Earth.
It's got to be here. I like the polar regions up here, of Earth. Yeah, sorry. It's very boring.
Earth is good.
Earth is good.
We live here, it sustains our life.
I'm not going to turn my back on it.
It's got water, it's got ice, it's got vegetation. I mean, it's rich with life. And so studying Earth is a very, very rewarding career. And I think if we were on any other planet, we would be trying to get to Earth as quickly as we could.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome back. Today's sea ice analysis, not too different from yesterday. It looks like a little bit less there for central and eastern Bristol Bay. Otherwise, about the same out over the Bering Sea there, with northern Cook Inlet area, no change and not much change expected. Excuse me. Into through tomorrow, but should start to see with a big storm coming in here over the next couple of days, actually starting on late Wednesday, Thursday, and into Friday. We'll see probably a significant reduction in sea ice, or pushing it at least back to the north and west to some extent at that period of time. Coastal water forecast: west winds all along the coast tomorrow of the Panhandle, 30 knots, small craft advisories, seas 20 to 25 feet. Inside waters, lighter winds, southwest 15 for Clarence Strait, south 20 Stevens Passage. Lynn Canal, a little brisker there, small craft advisory southeast at 30 knots and higher gusts. And then that falls back to 15 knots from the north. Lynn Canal, Glacier Bay, Stevens Passage, most of the central northern inside waters, and even lighter winds for Clarence Strait down south or north at 10. And northwest breezes, 15 to 20 knots on the south coast, and west-northwest at 20 knots on the north coast. Cook Inlet, northern Cook Inlet, small craft advisory, south 25 knots, seas 5 feet, but gale warnings for the area south of the Forelands into Kamishak Bay. West-southwesterlies, 35 knots, 10-foot seas, west 35, 18-foot seas for the Barren Islands, and 40-knot gale force westerly winds for the North Gulf Coast with seas 20 to 25 feet. Prince William Sound, west at 20, seas 4 feet. Northeast 20 knots for Prince William Sound on Wednesday, 3-foot sea, southeast 25, small craft advisories there for the Middleton Island marine zone, 15-foot seas. Western North Gulf Coast, not too bad, southwest at 20. Barren Island, small craft advisories, southwest at 25. Small craft advisories for Kamishak Bay, southeast at 30. Cook Inlet, northeast 15 to 20. Kodiak Island, minimum gales on the east side of the island. They're out of the south, 35 knots, southwest 30, Shelikof Strait. Sitkinak to Cape Sarachev, south-southwest winds at 40 knots, and small craft advisories on the Bering Sea side of the peninsula, west 30 knots, Bristol Bay, east 30 knots. And for Bristol Bay on Wednesday, those turn southeast, pick up to 35 knots throughout the day, with seas building back to 8 feet. And we've got good gales there for the Alaska Peninsula from the south-southeast at 40 knots with 12 to 20-foot seas. And then Sitkinak to Castle Cape, south winds 30 knots, east side of Kodiak Island, southwest 30 knots, 22-foot seas, small craft advisories for Shelikof Strait. On Alaska Island, west winds tomorrow 30 knots, Unmak Island, west 25 knots, Adak and Atka, west-southwest 25 knots, and Amchitka, southwest at 30, 17-foot seas. Gale warnings for Mary's Kiska westward to Shimian Attu for 35-knot winds out of the southwest. Those will turn northwest to 25 for those areas on Wednesday. Amchitka Island, southwest 40. That's good for gales. And pick the storm warnings up here for the central Aleutian, especially Atka, Nikolsky, Unmak Island, Unalaska Island. Winds south to southwest, mostly 45 to 50 knots. And for the southwest coast tomorrow, small craft or brisk wind advisories there, south of Nunivak Island, east 25 knots. Small craft advisories for St. Matthew Island and the Pribilof for 30 knot winds, but north 15 laying down there for St. Lawrence Island. And those will pick back up, though, up to 30 knots out of the east for brisk wind advisories, but gale warnings out along the southwest coast, southeast and east winds of 40 knots, 45 knot winds from the south of the Pribilofs, east 45, St. Matthew Island. Arctic coast, central and east coast, there, east 20 knots. Brisk wind advisories on the western Arctic coast, east at 25. West winds 20 knots from Cape Beaufort to Wales. And then north 15 from Cape Beaufort to Wales on Wednesday, east 15 for the remainder of the Arctic coast. And for tonight, storm lifts north, weakens considerably tonight. Front pushes east of the Panhandle, and so wind and precipitation will begin to lighten up, but won't end completely, especially for the Panhandle North Gulf Coast, as well as south central Alaska. Another shot at some snow for the Cook Inlet, Mananuska-Sitna Valley as that upper low lifts northward tonight, and snow and blowing snow for the Norton Sound, Seward Peninsula area, and next system affects the Alaska Peninsula Tuesday. Much better conditions, southern Alaska, scattered rain and snow showers. South central Alaska stays wet and unsettled over the south or for the southeast coast. Big storm rolls up into the southeast Bering during the day Wednesday, and that'll bring a significant change into the western part of the state for Thursday and Friday. Otherwise, look for some scattered rain and snow showers south central Alaska on Wednesday into the Panhandle, but drier as you notice.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.